Every beginner drummer I've ever worked with starts off making this same mistake, which causes their playing to bog down and get sloppy whenever they're playing something new. But then I have them do this one little trick, and they suddenly play smoothly and effortlessly. So today we're breaking down what this is. What if your playing was smooth instead of choppy? What if your drumming was easy instead of difficult? What if you could learn new material faster? Well, this is what I'm helping you do today with this trick that we're talking about. By avoiding this one sneaky little habit that we've all done, we've all been guilty of at some point, you can significantly smoothen out your playing and learn new grooves and fills and any new material much faster. Today I'm teaching you how to avoid the big fundamental mistake, the big no-no that every beginner makes. And in this process, you'll learn 3 steps to learning and playing any groove or fill better than you've ever played it before. You can do this. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I'm so glad you're hanging out today. I help self-taught beginner drummers know what to practice so that you can nail songs and be the drummer other people want in their band. And that means playing smoothly. And we want for your drumming to begin to feel easier and not feel cumbersome and tedious and difficult. We want things to begin to feel smooth and effortless for you. And so that's specifically what we're working toward in this lesson, so that you can get into a playing situation and just feel like what you play is natural and flowing out of you. And so what we're getting at today is really going to help you with that. So first, something to kind of throw at you to be thinking about here to frame what we're talking about, and it's this. Any logical person would assume that when we learn something on the drums, we learn it once. But the truth is, everything is learned twice. Here's what I mean by this. The first time you learn something, you're either looking at it on a page in the method book, in the transcription you downloaded, whatever it is. You're like reading it, you're counting it, you're figuring it out. That's learning it the first time. That could also mean listening to it in a song. You're isolating the drum part in noises. You're like slowing it down. I have a lot of students who do that. And so you're figuring it out by ear. That could be learning it the first time. Either way, you're trying to make sense of what the thing is and figure out what it is. Well, then you're actually learning it a second time when you officially apply it to the kit, like you play it physically. And so we have to think of learning in this way for what we're talking about today to make sense. Everything is learned twice. The first time you're counting it out, you're making sense of what it is. The second time you're actually physically executing it. And odds are there's some issue, some disconnect between those two. And that might be where you've had the trouble, where you're playing it so choppy because you feel like either it's not making sense in my head or I'm not able to execute it well, and so the two things aren't connecting, and so I'm not fully learning it twice. It's like I'm half learning it the first time, half learning it the second time, and everything gets messy. But if we can thoroughly learn it correctly the first time, thoroughly learn it right that second time, if physically playing it, that makes a huge difference in your playing. So what is the big no-no that I had in the thumbnail? Well, the big fundamental mistake that every beginner is making, and I say every beginner because literally every beginner student I've worked with is making this mistake. And so far we're at 100%. Every beginner is making this mistake. No judgment, no shame. I did this too. It's a very natural thing to do. But here's the big mistake: not playing the new material that you're learning in your head before trying to physically play it on the kit. We've all been guilty of this. We're trying to play a new groove, a new fill. We're trying to figure out a new part in a song. What do? We try to figure it out by playing. We're trying to figure it out by physically playing it, and we're trying to make it all come together and make it all sound right. But unfortunately, it ends up being really choppy. So put another way, the secret to playing something smoothly and effortlessly the first time is this: be able to make sense of it and hear it in your head first. So our number one rule for avoiding choppiness, for avoiding choppy playing, is this: do not count while playing. Only count to learn, not to play. That's the big thing we're referring to in the title. When you do this, your playing gets choppy. When you do what? When you count. When you're counting while you're trying to physically play, your playing will 100% get choppy. You're going to be choppy. You're not going to sound smooth and musical at all if you're trying to count and make sense of something while physically playing it. It just doesn't work. Does that make sense? Is this settling in? Like, is this marinating in your brain? Is it hitting the right way? Is it making sense here? You have to make sense of something in your head first for it to then come out the right way. It's simple, right? Think about your favorite song. So if you play your favorite song in your head, you can hear it in your head, right? Let's say you start singing your favorite song. You can probably sing your favorite song pretty effortlessly, even if you can't sing. Even if you're singing out, out of pitch and out of tune and whatever, you can still sing that favorite song that you've heard your whole life. So as you're doing that, what are you thinking about? Are you counting it? Are you counting the rhythm of the favorite song that you're singing while you're in the shower? No, you're not counting the rhythm. You're just hearing it, you're feeling it. That's why it comes off smoothly. So like as you're singing your favorite song, that's not choppy, right? You can sing your favorite song pretty smoothly, pretty effortlessly while you're in the shower, right? So why would we not take that same approach to our drumming? This is the huge problem going on among beginners. And it's fine, you don't know what you don't know. No shame here. But the issue is that we feel like we need to quickly start playing. Like we undervalue mental practice. We undervalue the process of making sense of something, hearing it and feeling it in our head first. And instead we think we have to start playing it, we have to start playing it. But think about that favorite song. You've been hearing the favorite song in your head. It's been stuck in your favorite head, in your head. Your favorite song has been stuck in your head, so it comes out, and it comes out smoothly and effortlessly without you having to think about it. So I hope that analogy shows you drumming can come out of you effortlessly and easy and smoothly too. We just have to employ the right approach. So that's our frame here. Those mental shifts have to happen. You have to be thinking about this that way in order for any of this to work. That's why these lessons here on the Non-Glamorous Drummer are not 5 minutes long. That's why they're not under 10 minutes long, because if I just tell you do this, do that, do that, do that, okay, bye, either you're not going to be on board with it because you're going to be like, Steven, that doesn't make sense, or it's going to be so fast that you're going to be like, huh, what? So here at the Non-Glamorous Drummer, we slow down, we take our time, we make sure that you're thinking about this the right way, because how you approach your learning is just as important, if not more important, than what you're actually doing. And so the fact that if you're sitting here with me right now, and if you're sitting at your kit while you watch this, you are the invested fellow non-glamorous drummer, because you're not trying to skim through, quick TikTok videos and Instagram videos and 10-minute drum lessons. No, you're ready to go deep, because that's what we do here. We do everything deeply because I believe that's what actually helps you. So let's get into some practical stuff here. I'm going to give you a practical example of how we might go about this whole thing of we're avoiding the big no-no of not playing things in our head first. We're making sure to not count while we play because that makes things choppy. How do we make sure that we learn something so that it comes across effortlessly? I'll give you an example. So my favorite rock method book is Realistic Rock. It's a great classic method, Carmine Appice. It's been around since like 1971, 72. And there's a particular groove in it I like to reference because it's complex enough that it's tough for a beginner to play at first, but everybody's able to figure it out eventually. It's challenging at first, but you can do it. Page 16, groove number 6. Here it is on the screen. I'll put my notation of it on the screen for you. If you have the book, feel free to turn there. First thing we got to do here, because here's the mistake. So if I show this groove to a new student and I say, okay, see if you can play this. What do? They go. And maybe what they just did was technically correct. Like I technically played the things in the right order there, but did that sound smooth? No, that was choppy. So then maybe they repeat it and they're like, okay. And it all comes off cumbersome, clunky, choppy because they're trying to count. So we know that we're not going to do that. In other words, we're not going to touch our sticks yet. Don't touch your sticks. Maybe you're sitting at your kit, but don't touch your sticks. Count the rhythm. What we always want to think about with grooves, fills, anything in music, what is the core rhythm? So as we count out this groove, we're not thinking kick versus snare. We're looking at kick and snare, imagining them as one unit, and we're counting out what is the core rhythm of that one unit. So if we count it out, okay, we got 2 eighth notes on beat 1. That's 1 and. 1 E and. 1 E and. 1 and. Nice and simple. Beat 2, we have that dotted eighth note 16th figure. How do we count that? Well, that's a note on beat 2, and then that 16th there happens on the so 2 E and and then we move on to beat 3. We got something funky here. We have a rest on beat 3, a 16th rest, which puts that first note on the E of 3, and we have another 16th rest, which then puts that kick note on the of 3. So if we count beat 3, we go 3 E and 3 E and It's syncopated. It's very much on the off beats. Then we get to beat 4. We have the same figure from beat 2 again. 4 E and So if we count it all together, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and tip for you, whenever you're counting, say all of the 16th syllables. You know, if we're counting a 16th based groove, say all the syllables, 1 E and 2 E and but accent the ones where the notes are. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and You can clap along with yourself to help out with this. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and And then, this is a transition. I was working with a one-on-one student on this just the other day. And he was telling me this was going really well, like this is helping him out a lot. So as he is counting through it and he's clapping while he counts, he then goes, okay, now I'm going to try to transition from counting it to actually hearing what I'm doing. That's how you do this. So you're counting it out, you're hearing yourself count it, you're hearing yourself clap it, but now we're transitioning our focus from the counting to the hearing what the actual rhythm is. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. And at that point, we're in step 2. We're starting to hear the rhythm as we count. And so here in step 2, we're making sure we hear the rhythm as we count, and we want to like beatbox it, drum speak it, whatever you want to call it. If you're like, Steven, I don't know how to beatbox, or I feel really stupid doing this, doesn't matter. Just say whatever comes to mind. Boom, boom, ga, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, 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 choo, 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 whatever dumb syllable you come up with, doesn't matter. Boom, boom, so we're making sure we get that in our head. We know here's what it's going to sound like, here's what it's going to feel like. So step 3, before we physically play it, fully play it in your head, imagining that you're on the drum set. So now you can hear boom, boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, ga, boom, boom. Now imagine actually playing it. Kick, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, kick. Try to do it without moving first, like without moving. Can you mentally play that part? Can you add in the 8th note timekeeping? Now allow yourself to tap a little, like tap your toes, tap your hand here. That can help so much because sometimes the noise of the drums will distract your brain and like throw things off. Sometimes just tapping it out real quick right before you play it, after you fully played it mentally silently, tapping it out, can then help prepare you for then physically playing it. So at that point, you fully played it in your head, imagining you're on the kit. Now step 4, actually play it on the kit, no counting. So that's the rule. That's what I got to hold you to here. I'm going to keep telling you this over and over again. Now that we're physically playing, no counting. You don't need to count because you can hear it. Boom, boom, ga, boom, ba, boom, ba. As a matter of fact, so I have the notation on the screen right here. Look at it one last time. Remember what it is. What does it sound like? Get it in your head. Boom, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, boom. Now, take the notation away and play it. Go ahead and give it a try. If you have the Realistic Rock book out in front of you, flip it over. You don't need to see it now because you have it in your head. Sure, if you come back to this in 15 minutes, okay, glance at it to remind yourself of what it is, get it in your head again. But you don't need to see the music while you play it. It's a 1-bar little groove. We are wired to remember rhythm and melody. We hold on to these things because they make sense. They're musical, they're emotional. Counting is not really a musical, emotional thing, but once we hear it and feel it in our head, we're much more likely to hold on to it and remember it. So if you've ever been in that struggle of, I practice this stuff and I come back to it the next day and I can't remember it, well, did you actually remember it in the first place? Maybe that's for you. Maybe this is a struggle that you've had where you practice something on Monday, come back to it on Tuesday and you can't play it. That could be because on Monday you didn't actually learn it. Did you follow this process on Monday? Did you get to where you could fully hear it in your head without counting it, then play it and get it feeling like music? Because I would reckon that if you can do that, then you're much more likely to remember it come Tuesday. And then if you keep revisiting it and then like take some time off from it and then randomly come back to it in a week, you're much more likely, you're teaching your brain to recall it and you're much more likely to remember it. Not to mention you're getting better at just remembering rhythms in general. And so you're a lot more likely to retain whatever groove, fill, song you learn. Which, by the way, the better you get at this thing we're talking about today, the easier you remember, oh yeah, that song has an of 2 groove. I was hitting the kick on an of 2, which kind of gives the groove its feel. Or, oh yeah, that song has an and of 2 feel. Oh yeah, that song is like a driving 8th kind of feel. Oh yeah, that groove is like really simple with space. you start to hold on and see these rhythms in your head, and you start to think in these rhythms. Remember, that's been our big theme lately. Last week we were talking about, we're going to talk about it more next week, seeing, hearing rhythms, thinking in rhythms, because suddenly everything starts to come together at that point. So, okay, back to our groove here. Step 4 of actually playing it on the kit. No counting. Remember, no counting. We've taken the notation away. You flipped your book over. No need to count because you can still hear it. Boom, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom. A fill tip for you, which is something that we talked about a little last week about the drum solo formula for uncreative drummers. What if you just take the rhythm in the groove and you make it a fill? So we're playing this groove. Like, if you know the core rhythm of the groove, we're thinking in rhythms, we're remembering it as a rhythm, we can then take that rhythm and just play that as a fill. Ba, boom, 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 ba, do, ba. It's pretty cool how much creativity you start to access and tap into at that point. And so what's funny is that our lesson here today is about the simple premise of, if you don't count while you physically play, you're going to play smoother and more effortlessly. Hopefully you're seeing that to already be true. Like right now, when you're playing, as you're playing along with me, and you're finding, maybe Steven's right. Maybe if I don't try to count, if I just remember it, then it's going to be smoother. It will be. If you can play your favorite song in your head in the shower and sing it smoothly and effortlessly without counting, you can do the same on the drums. And so when you start doing this, what's cool is there's so many carryover benefits, trickle-down benefits. You start to pay more attention to rhythm. Rhythms, like songs are made of rhythms. They're all over the place. And so when you start paying attention to rhythm, things start to become more effortless because you start to hold on to these musical bits and pieces, and you're not trying to count stuff that you play. You're just remembering, oh yeah, like that rhythm, that melody, that thing, that's what I'm playing. This really is the simple process I walk every new student through. And it's amazing what happens in their playing. Like, it's amazing the difference that happens in their playing in a matter of minutes. And you can do this too. I hope you've proven it to yourself already. And if you feel like this groove that we did here is a little too complex for you, like if you're a total beginner, do something a little simpler. Like, just take out a couple of these notes. What if you, what if you just remove, what if we just make it a, we can make it that. You could practice right now hearing me play that and going, okay, I'm gonna get Steven's groove in my head. You don't even have to count it out. You could go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 4. Okay, but once you can hear it in your head, that's all, right? If you can hear that in your head, try mentally playing it, watching me play it. Does that make sense in your head? If so, okay, now physically play it. If there's any issue at all, it's probably going to be the kick that happens on the of too, in between the right-hand timekeeping notes. So you might need to isolate that and go, okay. By the way, that's a great way to practice. Zoom in on the treble spot, play it real slow, loop it a few times, zoom back out, put it all together. So maybe that's an issue going on. And so that's something you might encounter the second time you learn something. Remember, the first time, making sense of it, second time physically playing it. So as we're learning it that second time physically, maybe then we encounter new treble spots and we can isolate those. But hey, in the process of doing this, you're avoiding so much trouble and hassle and frustration of trying to piece things together and then being frustrated by something with your grip or feeling like, my posture is bad doing this. What if you can make the whole thing happen before you physically play it? That way, once you physically play it, Well, now we can start thinking about, okay, how are we sitting while we play this? How are our sticks moving? What's our foot doing? Like, what technique are we doing? What kind of beat or motion are we achieving? And then we can start looking at those more, the deep aspects of what makes a drum part sound and feel good. And then suddenly you're starting to reach studio drummer quality. It all starts with this: don't count while you physically play. Does this make sense? Is this resonating with you? My hope is that this completely changes the way that you learn things on the drums and saves you a whole bunch of frustration. Because trust me, I've been there. Every one of my students has been there, but we turn this around and suddenly they're playing is smoother. So, hey, here's your homework. What other groove or fill can you try this method with? So what's something that maybe you're struggling with right now, whether it's a groove in a book, it's a fill in a song, what is it that you just need to spend some time mentally practicing, learning well the first time in your head, so then you can play it well the second time on the kit. That's my challenge to you. Know that you can do this. Stay non-glamorous. Thanks for hanging out today, and I'll see you on the next lesson.